Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Before I commence my official presentation, I would like to respond to the Honorable Minister that spoke before me. She spoke about roads that was done by the government. I'm not sure if she's talking about the type of road she's talking about, if it's those concrete strips that have been made to fit just one vehicle as you go along, or it is the roads where the shoulders are not completed and they're collapsing in the drains. I'm not sure which one she's speaking of. Added to roads, Mr. Speaker, in my presentation, I plan to bring this issue on the 4-lane highway, and since the minister spoke about roads, I will take the opportunity to highlight that we really need to have stoplights at the intersection on the 4-lane highway on the east bank of Demoaro. It is important because you will see that since the road has been open, we've had quite a number of accidents. We've had drivers driving into the light pole on the highway, and I've also seen the danger of our police officers trying to control the traffic and not being able to do so fully, especially when drivers are not heeding to the instruction of stopping. And it is something that must be addressed because the 4-lane highway, the inner lane, when the big truck is stopped there, it is causing a blind spot for drivers who cross. So this be attended to urgently. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today I come before this Honorable House to make my contribution to this debate. I do want to reflect on past budget themes under the previous PPPC administration, and this year's theme, Staying the Course, Building Prosperity for All, mirrors the theme of 2023, Confronting the Challenges, Staying the Course for a Prosperous Guyana. This is not surprising. And their same old practices that the people of Guyana have to deal with. Their practices of victimization, marginalization, and dictatorship are in full swing, while many Guyanese continue to struggle with the high cost of living and blatant acts of discrimination daily. Sadly, Mr. Speaker, it is these set principles on which the PPPC government functions that they are unable to deliver effective and valuable services to the Guyanese populace. Take, for example, the decentralization of services at the passport office. That has stopped and returned to people lining up for long hours to be served. Why, Mr. Speaker, lands already allocated under the coalition to people, they're taken back, although payments have been completed. Why is the local democracy being stifled and local authorities have little or nothing to say in what is being done in their respective communities? One specific issue that warrants attention is the condescending way a particular minister addresses the public when distributing cash grants. This money, which amounts to a mere $125 is portrayed as a favor from the government, creating the impression that the people should be grateful. This is a misrepresentation, Such funds belong to the people of Guyana and should be distributed responsibly, since the money belongs to the people of Guyana. All of this and the many more deliberate acts of humiliation speak to the PPPC government's incompetence and lack of people-centered vision. Mr. Speaker, the budget of 2024 continues down the same path as the team suggested. However, it is staying the course, building poverty for those who are not friends, family, favorites, and faithfuls that are aligned to the PPPC in Guyana. The public servants, what will they really benefit from? I heard the Honorable Minister before me spoke about salary increases and all of that she went on. They only dissolved 6.5% in the last increase. Now, Mr. Speaker, she spoke about training. When the Honorable Member, spoke about training, when I did the calculation and percentage, it's only 8.2% of the workforce, which the Minister spoke about. The Honorable Minister with responsibility for finance within the office of the President stated in his presentation that the year was challenging, with tragedies, and only highlighted two that his government saw was noteworthy. I would like to remind this House that the first tragedy of 2023 in our nation started on the 5th of January when the homes of families at Caneview were bulldozed by the PPPC government. This resulted in 20 children being homeless with their parents, the depletion of their economic strength, and destruction of a community culture. If that was not enough, the same man-made tragedy occurred in the month of May at Hillfoot on the Linden-Suzik Highway, leaving 43 children homeless with their parents. Mr. Speaker, let me now turn my attention to youth, sports, and culture. I am extremely proud to be a physical education teacher who teaches history and development of sport, human anatomy and physiology, fitness and performance, sports management, coaching, and all that goes with sports. And I've been doing it for over 20 years. It is something that I do. Mr. Speaker, I will take this presentation this afternoon to talk about a social issue that is highlighted in the syllabus when we do physical education, that is politics and sports. These areas of human endeavor can be most impactful socio-economic strength of a country. Youth are the ones that continue to bring about change that will be the future leaders. Sports provide opportunities for personal development, healthy living, and economic gains. Culture is our way of life, our beliefs, our collective identities, our language, our rules, our arts, etc. And I'm proud to say I'm a sociologist too. I teach sociology too, so that fee alone. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, it is the responsibility of the government to ensure that budgetary allocations and implementations of plans must be done in a manner to provide opportunities to impact development of these areas. Mr. Speaker, when I examine the ministry, the policy direction leaves much to be desired. The budgetary allocation of $8,895,468,000 this year compared to the previous year allocation, we saw a significant number of incomplete projects, poorly done completed works, which tell a story about the importance of these areas to government. Abraham Lincoln said, I never had a policy. I have just tried to do my very best each and every day. I am sure the staff will say they have done their best with the resources at their disposal. Hence, we need to examine closely the methods of implementation. Mr. Speaker, culture and arts. In paragraph 4.145 of the budget speech, the following statement is made, and I quote, our culture and heritage reflects values, beliefs, and aspirations which are the core of our national identity as a people. It spoke about the belief of the government in harnessing the energies of our people Mr. Speaker, such flowery words, while the actions of the said government reflects differently. How are you harnessing people's energy? In this year's budget on the culture, we have 2,688,808,000 allocated, which is 2% of the allotted sum for this ministry. I note on the subsidies and contributions to local organizations, a total of 4 organizations were listed. Where are the monies for Borough School of Arts? Will they receive the much needed materials to run successful programs? What about the music schools? What about the National Dance Company? What about the newly refurbished floors at the National Dance Company that needs to be fixed with the right material and set the recommended way so dancing can contribute, making its impact on our society? What about the copyright legislation and protection for artists and those in the creative arts, which will provide the much needed protection to harness our artists? Mr. Speaker, we have several artists. Jobo Primo, I'm just going to call names randomly. Poonam Singh, Vakali, Latia Wright that we brought here the other day, Kite Gard, and many other persons we can name in the arts and entertainment. But Mr. Speaker, if these individuals, Ms. Wright was exposed to what we're having now, would she be able to realize our fullest potential? And therefore, if we want to acknowledge and we want to harness, I'm using your words, the talents and skills of our people, then we have to provide the right platform for that to take place. The last minute rush, Mr. Speaker, after almost 1 year of a previous budget to run, patch, fix, or paint does not negate the fact that the organizations went the entire year without needs being met. Mr. Speaker, such actions do not support in any way the stated objective for culture, which reads, to ensure Guyanese are provided with opportunities to learn, actively participate in visual and performing arts, and to preserve and conserve our national heritage. Mr. Speaker, I want to pull up a few articles. Double pay for Cricket Carnival artists. The president announced, I'm reading the headline here. And this is from Newsroom, November the 21st, 2022. When I went through this article, 6.9 million was used for that event, and 89 local artists performed. And it says it's keen on focusing on the developing the arts in Guyana. So I was looking at the budgetary allocation to see what is being placed here to develop them. Mr. Speaker, Guyanese musicians to benefit from government-sponsored studio time. What is happening in our music industry? This is June the 4th, 2022, and it reads, 9 million will be invested to secure this arrangement for 12 months, construction of state-owned studios on the cards. Mr. Speaker, I see that in the cards in the budget for 2024, to be exact. And then, again in the said article, it says Dr. Ali related that the plan is to cover studio time costs for the next 12 months at 3 local studios, allowing musicians to record their music at no charge to themselves. He said that this is a direct investment and will afford local musicians a space to explore their craft in a more magnified way. Mr. Speaker, I wonder how many musicians actually benefited from this particular project, and if they're able to continue to do their music, or this was just for the 1 year, that's it. Because again, I examined the budget and I see no allocations here for any projects of such kind. Mr. Speaker, I must bring to your attention also two other articles that I find very interesting. Guyana goes big with CPL. In this article, from Newsday from Trinidad and Tobago, here what one day paragraph says, Sunday, September 17, 2023, with its global status growing alongside its conquerors, Guyana not only flexed its financial muscle by agreeing to host the CPL for 3 consecutive years, but is doing it bigger and better. Where is the money that will make our musicians and our artists bigger and better in budget 2024? Mr. Speaker, even as I looked at another article, accreditation of Creative Arts Institute, hosting of Literacy Arts Festival on the card this year of February, and this was done in February the 2nd, 2023. And it spoke about all the competitions and all of that that has happened. I hope the Honorable Minister in his presentation will tell us if the accreditation was finished for this particular area. Mr. Speaker, finally on this article, graduates show skill as Institute of Creative Arts hosts successful 8th convocation. Mr. Speaker, in this article, I take note, groups developing arts, dancers, dramatists, musicians, writers, filmmakers, creative craft workers, and designers by the Institute of Creative Arts were on show at this event. Mr. Speaker, the relationship, it says the collegiate relationship that occur. Hear what it says. Cultural Training Center made reference. Cultural Training Center in Jamaica. The old Jamaica School of Art and Jamaica School of Music. The newer Jamaica School of Drama and Jamaica School of Dance. One day, when are we going to be able to really talk about our skills and talented being developed and given the opportunity to be created and developed in Guyana? They had to have a collaboration to get this. And I hope that when we read the next article, we talk about these particular areas developed in Guyana so that our local artists will be able to perform. Mr. Speaker, the use of this allocated sum in this area, the details are sketchy for the expected project. Let me outline them. Where will this new art gallery and museum and other facilities be located? I find it in the budget book. Outfitting of community spaces for cultural performances. Which community spaces are being referenced? They talk about cultural camps. Where will these cultural camps be held? I know last year it was at a lot of schools. Since $1,250,000,000 will be spent on these projects from the allocated sum, I believe this meager sum and the absence of details for a project contributed to the many states of incompleteness. It appears that the people come up with suggestions, write them down, and then after the monies are approved, they start looking for the actual plans. Mr. Speaker, the only detail that is clear about this allocated sum is that the people of African descent groups, not even listed as local organizations, who the SPPPC government shall determine will share $100 million, which is mere 2.7% of the allocated sum. This funding was removed from EPADG, which used the fund to empower small businesses of people of African descent. A clear disregard for Africans in Guyana. No other ethnic group is being treated with such disdain. During the previous year examination of the budget estimate on Tuesday, 31st of January 2023, the minister was asked about the number of events in arts, entertainment, and recreation sector by Honorable Jones. The minister response only gave the One Guyana Prize Literacy Festival, Marshall activities, which is usual, the regarded Blue Lake and Linden, and at the Literacy Festival, the Poetry Slam, Storytelling Symposium, etc. that will take place. Mr. Speaker, when we're planning events, if you want to highlight MASH, you don't want to crowd the literacy festival with other things that will not be able to really showcase and highlight. We got 12 months in the year, many things could happen. Mr. Speaker, even as I look, when I reflect on the speech last year, I pull up Mashomani calendar 2024 from the ministry website. And I note all the events listed. I note there is the children competition, calypso, costume, the soca monarch, dancehall monarch, chutney, splash minorami or something like that. Splash rami, right? Flag raising ceremony, costume and float parade, mashorama, panorama, literacy festival. And then they talk about the Buxton Mash. Mr. Speaker, under this particular post, I don't know who monitors the page, but somebody asked, since when dancehall is a part of Mashomani, eh? That had nothing or have nothing to do with Mashomani. I hope there's someone actually monitoring the page so they can give feedback to Guyanese who are very much culturally aware to what are some of the things we expect in our country. Mr. Speaker, all these new activities, all apparently replaced the drama festival that many look forward to. The drama festival provided the perfect opportunity for students writing CSEC exams to write their plays and bring them alive. This is part of the requirement of the subject of theater arts. In 2019, the IFLOT Secondary School won the local competition. Now students writing this subject have to do their little thing quietly at school and not be afforded the opportunity to bring their skills alive, whether it be at the National Cultural Center or the Theatre Guild. Why was this program removed? Dance, another form of arts, require more investment to keep it alive. Christmas Fantasia used to be a free show for seniors and children in the homes. I recall the experience of accompanying seniors from my community to this free show. Enchanted Caribbean used to be held in July for CARICOM. Guess what? Dates never available at the Culture Center. Mr. Speaker, this was critical for CTEC exams again, which is also a requirement for students to critique a dance show. So that was created to provide an opportunity for our students who are in theater arts to be able to critique and bring these shows alive. Why was it stopped? The only show that remains for our dance season in October and the church show at Brigham Cathedral at Easter. These dance programs provided opportunities for the children, youths, and adults in classes to show their learned skills and passion. Mr. Speaker, the non-return of these purposeful programs, which enhanced our culture and provided opportunities for youth, clearly show a path of destruction to our cultural heritage and the implantation of new ones. Again, Mr. Speaker, these shows can generate income to help the said organizations moving forward. Culture ought to be preserved and new ones can be added. Mr. Speaker, amazingly, the government's meager allocation and no mention in these areas give the story. The sum of 250 million allocated for national and other events in culture makes one to question, how will this money be disaggregated between the national holidays and all the events that we have in the country? I now turn my attention to youth. Mr. Speaker, again, the use of catchy language, but differing actions are blatantly clear. Paragraph 4.151 of the budget, the youths of the nations are its backbone and its future, emphasizing on training, capacity building, and stuff. The highlight of last year's program in the budget say it will be completed in the first quarter of 2024. Says a lot about goal setting and not achieving them. Mr. Speaker, of this budgeted sum, 150 million will be spent to upgrade and equip training centers. What happened to night schools that afforded youths who are school dropouts the opportunity to attend CSEC classes and rewrite their exams? Are these individuals important? How are you harnessing the energies of our people? In this year budget, $2,700,000 was allocated as subsidies to local organizations. A total of 8 organizations are listed. Mr. Speaker, what is particularly interesting in this area is that there was no increase given for none of the 8 organizations. Hence, they will continue with the last year issues, challenges, and the new ones they will face this year. Mr. Speaker, I note that this ministry has been advertising vacancies, which asks for specific qualifications, and I like that when I see it on the page. I'm going to ask, does the training run by this ministry or the ministries cater for the skills needed for the oil and gas sector? Does the accreditation of the programs cater for youths to be marketable in and out of Guyana or meet the needs of the labor shortages in Guyana? Examine it because I've checked it. Mr. Speaker, imagine doing a course and collecting just a piece of cardboard with something right on it, and you have to take it. There's no seal, there's no stamp, nothing to say that this is happening. Please pay attention to that when we do our program. If as an institution conducting the training currently does not have the relevant accreditation, then do it through somewhere that is already accredited. For example, a cooking class, you get accreditation through Carnegie School of Home Economics. These are things that could be collaborative and work on if we're talking about empowering our youths. Mr. Speaker, I read the objective of youths, and I asked, we want to empower them through interactive program, enhance their skills. We want the things to create a cadre of entrepreneurs to make meaningful contribution to national development. Am I to think, or nation to think, that it's only all about creating these entrepreneurs? What about the other areas that our young people can be very effective in? What about the PYAC, the President Youth Advisory Council? I saw an article in 2022 about it being established, and that's it. Mr. Speaker, what about the President Youth Award, Republic of Guyana? What's going on there? Are our youths really benefiting from these programs? Mr. Speaker, I'm quite sure more can be accomplished from our youths once they have a say in the things that are being done. If you engage our youths, they will give you more ideas of programs you can do to help them. Sports, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, January 5th, 2023, Guyana Chronicle headlines, National Sports Policy to be completed in 2023. 4.3 billion apart from infrastructural work and examination of the budget by the minister. During that time, he said that there were going to be 3 policies intended to bring to this house. The minister said the policies we're going to bring to the house was a sport policy and a cultural policy. Mr. Speaker, after sitting in this house for almost a year, not hearing or seeing anything being done on the most attended area by government, I saw the following. Newsroom headlines, January 13th, 2024, National Sports Policy to be published in the first half of 2024. What happened to last year? Mr. Speaker, no mention of the cultural policy. Maybe that will be headline for the next quarter of this new year, when it was started since 2023. May I remind this House that a sports policy sets clear guidelines for how sports can contribute to society. I trust whenever this policy is presented, it will cater for the several deficiencies and incompleteness by this ministry. Mr. Speaker, while it is highlighted in paragraph 4.14 that last year's project will be completed in 2024, it reflects a state of incompleteness. So, Mr. Speaker, I need to go through this quickly. Mr. Speaker.
I remember, yes, quickly, but you have to do that with an extension.
What?
Thank you. Comrade Speaker, I do move that the honourable member be given 5 minutes to conclude her presentation.
Thank you very much, honourable member. You have 5 minutes to conclude.
Mr. Speaker, incomplete projects. Paimara, not completed. Mr. Speaker, quarantine not completed. Mr. Speaker, multipurpose facilities in Interland, I saw on the Facebook page, lands were now being identified. Mr. Speaker, incompleteness, Albion ground lock up for the last 5 months, no work going on. Mr. Speaker, we have Bel Air ground I saw the minister talking about this area and how he's walking through. When I went there, the bridge is in a deplorable condition. If a child run over there, they fall in the ground, in the trench. Mr. Speaker, upgrades the ground. There are several grounds, Mr. Speaker, that will still to be upgraded, but it is not in a condition that children can play on it. When you have the grounds done, people should be able to use it. Mr. Speaker, extension of the squash court to the Rocket Center got incomplete work. Construction of standing grass mounts at Region 2, incomplete work. Mr. Speaker, one of the things that I must bring to the attention of this House, the minister touted that the National Gymnasium was completed after how many months? When I visited the National Gymnasium, this project completed in August. Gated gymnasium hung up with wire and rope. Washroom, locker, the whole cracks on the walls. It can't be used. Mr. Speaker, the tennis court, the material used to build this court, right now it's bent where the net is. Mr. Speaker, you check here, rotten gate, because the material used again is not good enough for it. All substandard, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, these are things that we must pay attention to. I want to remind this House that when the Durban Park was constructed, it was a completed project, not incomplete. And you did not maintain it. Mr. Speaker, one of the many roles of government is to provide safe facilities and recreational spaces for its citizens. The most distressing experience when attending local competition is the poorly kept and non-functioning washrooms at these venues. At the recently concluded national championship at Lenora, the stadium washroom was in a deplorable condition, had serious issues. I note on Facebook page the ministry entire promotion of displays of stadium design, which I pull up. Mr. Speaker, why should our athletes endure sitting on hardboard, lying on concrete, spreading in different positions or holding umbrellas to be protected from the rain or sun? They have to endure this agony for at least 9 hours. Mr. Speaker, shouldn't the government be looking for different designs that can bring more comfort and can bring more relief for our athletes and spectators alike? In comparison to hosting international events where the government ensure all the facilities are fixed, washrooms are functioning, well stocked with toilet paper and sanitizers, Mr. Speaker. We need to use our land space in a manner that will bring comfort to our people. Mr. Speaker, consider the economic windfall in sports, youth, and culture. Highlighted by a head of state in a recent article attributing over $85 million to Guyana's economy due to CPL 2022. Look at the financial benefit. Why we're not seeing the reflection of that in budget 2024? Mr. Speaker, briefly, I must turn my attention to Region 4 quickly. In the total madness to have the budget, it is total madness to have a budget presented for a region when the elected official work for the projects and then it is either taken out and only specific areas that support the government gets the project. That needs to be stopped. Mr. Speaker, there are several issues on the East Bank with water. This is a condition of water coming in Mocha Arcadia community and several communities on the East Bank that needs to be fixed. It's something that is urgent and we have to think about the health of our people. Mr. Speaker, in closing, Mr. Speaker, I want to urge this government, Mr. Speaker, to ensure that when we are spending the monies and doing allocation for our people, that they indeed take into consideration the needs of the people by paying attention and listening keenly to the people. Many of the incompleted projects under the Ministry of Youth, Sports and Culture can be completed if the minister and his team would take the time and prioritize and get them finished one by one. I trust that in 2025, all projects will be completed under this ministry. I thank you.